Hi, I'm Bernard Tobe. Welcome to Real Agriculture. I'm at the Ontario Agricultural Conference, and I'm joined now by Dennis Pennington. Dennis is a Wheat Expansion Specialist from Michigan State University. Dennis, how's it going?
Great.
Hey, it's great to have you here. I want to talk about the Great Lakes Yield Enhancement Network, the YIN.
Yep.
You've been involved in that since the start, a couple of years back. Overall, I mean, how has it gone? I mean, I'm talking to growers. They seem to learn a lot. They seem to be enthusiastic and energized by it.
Yeah, so we've grown considerably since we started, and it's been a huge undertaking in terms of labor to put everything together that has to be done, all the data collection, the reports that go back to growers, and the amount of information that we're generating is phenomenal. And when they ask questions, most of the time we have data that we can go back to answer some of those questions. So we started with 43 growers in our pilot project back in the 2021 season. In the 21-22, we had 98 farms that completed the project and all got reports back a month and a half, 2 months ago now. So.
Yeah, and you had the winner from a yield perspective and potential yield, Jeff Crone.
Yes.
Down Michigan, down your way.
Yeah. So we have two categories in the yield contest part of it, and one is the high yield, the actual overall yield, and Jeff Crone won that with 165 bushel yield this year. We also have a category for the percent of maximum yield potential. So he actually achieved 87% of his theoretical maximum yield potential, which is something that we calculate for all participants in the project based on some crop modeling information and all the data that we collect from them. So.
And we should mention that growers Ontario, Michigan, Ohio, and you're pushing south as well, right?
Yeah, so this is truly a regional network. So we have growers in New York, Ontario, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Kentucky this year. And we're hoping to expand that to include a couple of the I-states as well, because they are around the Great Lakes as well, Indiana and Illinois, for another year.
Now, I've been following this since day one, and it's amazing, like the year one versus year two. I mean, like the conversation on year one was like heads per meter squared, how do we get more heads? Then last year it seemed to be grain fill and getting that weather during grain fill, lengthening grain fill, that period. It seems to be you're learning something new every year.
You know, that's what's exciting about this whole project, because no 2 years is alike. We don't have the same weather conditions, and growers are trying to figure out what is the best options for them to maximize the yield potential given the conditions that they have. And so, yeah, each year maybe something kind of shakes out toward the top. One thing that has been consistently at the top is total biomass. So in terms of consistency, our correlation with the yield against the biomass is very strongly correlated. In fact, it's like 87% is the correlation value. So as biomass goes up, yield goes up. So in terms of every grower wants to know, what's the magic thing to do here on my farm? Tell me what I have to do to get these high yields. Grow a big crop. Right. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. And now last year, going back to the year before, the heads per meter squared. I saw some numbers where some of the growers who had higher heads per meter squared in 2022 didn't actually sort of fill those grains, and it was a very different year.
Yeah, and so we always look at the yield components, and those vary from farm to farm, and they vary from year to year. But the reason that we do that is because we want the growers to be thinking about, okay, what are the yield components? What are the management things that I do on my farm that affect each of those yield components? How does the crop grow and develop? At what point in the growth stage are the number of spikelets determined? Yep. And so not every grower knows all that stuff. So part of the objective of this program is to teach growers about how wheat grows, so they can then say, all right, if I'm having an issue with really small heads on my farm, what is something I can do? What is the growth stage that I need to target my management at so that I can make an improvement?
What are some of the other sort of management areas that you want to focus on? Your growers are focusing on, I know fungicide is a big consideration. Nitrogen as well?
So nitrogen application and fungicide application are two of the big things. And I might add, micronutrient or other nutrients to that besides just nitrogen. And that varies a little bit from farm to farm and geography to geography, because there are areas that have different deficiencies in the soil. We have some areas with manganese deficiency. There's some in Ontario with magnesium deficiency. But identifying, nitrogen is the biggest cost of production for wheat. So, doing the best job of managing that and not losing any more than absolutely necessary is important. And timing of the fungicides and how those interact with the nitrogen and all of those benefits. We're collecting all of that data. And then we're presenting it back. And every time I meet and talk to growers, they ask me questions about, well, what about this? And it's like, well, we have the data, we can answer that, but I haven't looked at it yet.
Yeah.
So,
well, I've been talking to some wheat growers who've been involved, and I've never seen them more engaged in managing the wheat crop. And is that what you're sensing as well? And what are growers saying to you?
So, what was really interesting, and I didn't pay these guys to say this, but in the Wow Wheat session there that we just got finished up with, all the growers said that they want to learn, and that is why they are in the end project. And so they're saying there's a tremendous amount of information, and all you have to do is want to learn about how to grow better wheat, and you should sign up.
Right. And we'll close on that. Sign up for this year, I believe, is January 27th. Is that correct?
Yep, we're taking registration between now and January 27th.
And you're probably going to see a boost in numbers again this year?
We had 98 complete the project last year. We're hoping to bump that to 150 this year.
Wow.
We don't want to grow too much because there's a lot of work to collect that data and all the grab samples and doing all the counts and everything else.
Awesome.
So,
well, Dennis, hey, thanks for stopping by. Congratulations. That's quite a success. Keep it going.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.